Hey there, this is Natalie with the latest dose of interesting Reddit stories. Remember to show some love to the subscribe button if you haven't already, as this is a new channel and it helps me out a lot. So this is a fully concluded story with updates, and it's entitled I, 30 male, think my fiancé's, 27 female, cousins, 34 female, child is mine. And this was originally posted to r/relationship advice. And with a title like that, I think we're definitely in for a wild ride with this one. So the original post goes all the way back to December 2022, and the OP says, my fiancée Sarah and I have been together for 3 years. She's actually my first serious girlfriend since middle school. I'll honestly admit I've been a complete piece of poo with women for most of my teens and 20s, and pretty much used women. I'm saying all of this to explain how promiscuous I was in the past. Sarah knows about my past and she's grown to accept it. We met at work and she hated me because she saw right through me, and after pursuing her for close to a year, she finally agreed to a date, and the rest is history. We've been living together for 2 years now, and I've grown incredibly close to her parents too, and she also loves my family. The past 3 years have been the best of my life, and I'm so excited to spend the rest of my life with her. This weekend, her cousin and her family are in town. She's really close with her cousin Lauren. Miracle I haven't met her yet. I was always busy for one reason or another the few times she's visited in the last 3 years. So I finally met Lauren and her husband for dinner at Sarah's parents' place. She immediately stares at me a bit wide-eyed, and I can't help but think she looks familiar. We're all being introduced to each other, and Lauren for the most part seems to be acting normally, but she's still staring at me whenever she can. Sarah's parents then come in with Lauren's little boy, who's 5 years old. I'm looking at this kid and Lauren, and the only thing I can think of is that this boy looks like a carbon copy of me at his age, with some Lauren mixed in. I'm suddenly starting to remember that I took Lauren home from a bar close to 6 years ago, and I also remember convincing her not to use protection after I showed her my blood work. I'm just a sweaty, nervous mess for the rest of dinner, and I think Lauren realises how she looked at me and the boy, and that maybe I realised too. And an even more effed up part, I think Lauren was visiting Sarah the weekend I took her home. They probably had a girls' night out that weekend with their friends, and I took Lauren home, so Sarah was probably at the same bar that night. Sarah asked me if I was okay, and I just told her I wasn't feeling well. I didn't go to work yesterday and today, and just took sick days. I don't know what the F to do. Lauren obviously isn't saying anything. I have no clue if she was married at the time, and I don't want to ask Sarah because I don't want her getting suspicious about me asking. I don't even know how I feel about possibly being a father. I'm 95% sure this kid is mine. It looked nothing like the husband. Do I just shut up? I never cheated on Sarah, obviously, but she knows how much of a player I was, and it took her a while to get past my number. I don't know how she'd react if she knows I knocked up her cousin years before knowing her. This is vain and superficial about Sarah, and I love her to death, but she absolutely hates if something is considered trashy or low class. I honestly think it's possible she'd leave me if I knocked up her cousin. I can't lose her. She's literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. And in some of the comments, OP makes some replies that make his position on this very clear. He says, my only goal is keeping Sarah. Honestly, in my state of mind the last few days, I don't care about anything else. And in a reply to another comment, he says, my ideal situation is Sarah doesn't leave me. That's all that matters, and I'll do anything to make sure she stays. I don't know how I feel about the kid. He seemed happy with his parents. They live several states away. Sarah wants kids in the future, maybe in 3 to 4 years. And again he adds, I searched Sarah's calendar for the kid's birthday, and the timing works out. F. And then there's another big relevant comment that the Best of Redditor Updates thread deemed important enough to put here, so let's have a look at what this user 1crew3394 has to say. And she says, I'm guessing a lot of the commenters on this are men. I'm a 52-year-old woman. The number one most important thing in a relationship for me and for all the women I know is trust. Honesty, trust, and having each other's backs. This is why women sometimes can't forgive cheating. It's not the sex, it's the breach of trust. If you were my boyfriend/husband, I would want you to put me first before Lauren, meaning literally come to me first. Like, I have to tell you something that's really stressing me out. You know how I told you I had a lot of irresponsible drunken sex a few years ago? Well, when I met Lauren the other night, she looked really familiar. I'm so ashamed to tell you this, but I'm pretty sure I hooked up with her in whatever month of whatever year. I'm not sure if she recognized me, but I think she might have. I feel like she was looking at me strangely. I was so stressed out about it that I lied to you and said I felt sick. Well, that wasn't really a lie because I wanted to puke, and I'm still completely sick about this. I can't bear to lose you, but I can't lie to you and not tell you about this. Please help me figure this out. What should I do? Then let her go through all the stages of figuring this out with you. Let her say, "Oh my God, is that your kid?" while you put your face in your hands and moan. If you do what all these guys are suggesting and try to do damage control and go to talk to Lauren behind your girlfriend's back, you are completely screwed. It's not the crime, it's the cover-up. If you talk to Lauren, figure out that you are the biological father, and then drop the whole story on your girlfriend, there is no way in hell she will ever believe that you just figured this out now. She'll feel doubtful about what you knew, when you knew it, how you feel about Lauren, when you last slept with Lauren, etc., etc. If you want a life with Sarah, go to Sarah and ask her for help. If she dumps you, she's only dumping you for something you already told her about, which is your past behaviour. And if she got over it once, she might even get over it again. Right now, you are in the most forgivable, least guilty position possible. You've never lied to Sarah about your past, and you aren't going to start now. You didn't turn your back on your child or the mother of your child. You didn't know. If this kid was your baby, you weren't informed at the time. If Sarah and Lauren are close, and Lauren did have a pregnancy and conceal it from the biological father, Sarah may know all about it, and may be aware the bio father wasn't notified. Oscar Wilde once said, "Ignorance is like a delicate flower. Touch it and the bloom is off." Women are insanely perceptive of micro-expressions on their partner's face. If you find out anything and hide it from her for 24 hours while you think about it, she will already feel in her bones that you're lying and don't trust her. She's probably still wondering WTF was going on with you at the party. If you do anything else besides go to Sarah first, you are most likely done for. Trust that your partner can love you enough to get through this with you. Tell her ASAP before Lauren comes forward and says something. If, by any chance, Lauren is passing your bio kid off as her husband's bio kid, she may try taking some defensive actions. Who knows what? Or maybe Lauren will tell your girlfriend it's you, and that's why you acted sick at the party. OMG, don't roll the dice. Go to her, throw yourself on her mercy, and ask her for help. Like others have said, if you and this kid share some DNA, the chance of him figuring this out in your lifetime is extremely high. Rip the band-aid off and deal with it now. And yeah, I absolutely agree with this commenter. This really does seem like something where, at this point in time, he hasn't really done anything wrong. Sarah already knew that he used to sleep around, and it's just coincidence that, you know, her cousin ended up being one of the people that he hooked up with. Yeah, it's sketchy that he, you know, persuaded her not to use protection and all of that, but that's kind of beside the point at this moment in time for this situation. So I think, as the commenter said, if he approaches his fiancée and talks it through with her, and they can kind of work through how they're going to handle it in terms of talking to Lauren together, then I do think there's a very strong chance his fiancée will, maybe after an initial period of being a bit shocked and upset, be on his side about this. But we don't have to wait to find out what he did and what happened next, because there's an update. And it says, "After 3 days of staying home and feeling sick to my stomach with nervousness about this, I finally told Sarah late last night after my last post. Thank you so much, OwnCrew3394, because that post gave me the push to spill my guts. As embarrassing as it is, I cried from beginning to end telling Sarah and pretty much told her I don't want to live without her. She held my hands in bed and patiently listened about how I recognised Lauren, remembered our night, and how seeing that kid mentally broke me because I saw my future with Sarah jeopardised as soon as I saw him. She told me she's upset I didn't tell her as soon as we left her parents' place and to never keep something like this from her again, but she understood I was scared. She said she's not leaving me because I never betrayed her in the last 3 years we've been together, and we'll figure this out too. And she said she'll reach out to Lauren herself and figure out what's going on, because she's been with her husband for 10 years now, and if she's my one-night stand from years ago, she definitely cheated. We then had an even more uncomfortable talk about the type of things I've done in my past, and she wanted to know if there's any more surprises she needs to be ready for. She said she knows I was promiscuous and a bit of a reckless idiot, but we kind of swept everything under the rug when we got together because we both agreed to and we wanted a fresh start. And after this fiasco, that might have been a bad idea, so now she wants to know everything in detail. But we can have that talk another time. I don't feel great about this, but I'll deal with this hurdle when it comes up. Sarah's been home with me trying to get in touch with Lauren since morning and has been getting completely stonewalled. Finally, Lauren texted her to please just let it go. Sarah asked her again if they could just have a quick chat, or even if text is okay, but Lauren insisted to just let it go, please. I'm guessing Lauren realised I told Sarah everything. We don't know how to proceed from here on out. We're deciding to just respect her wishes and not pursue this further. Lauren also just changed her response to our wedding invite to a no-show. Sarah is kind of upset by this, but honestly, I'm fine with this outcome. We always planned to leave the US in a few years anyway. I got a lot of messages asking me to just shut up, and I was honestly ready to go down that route, but I think the worry was actually physically making me sick. Anyway, thanks everyone for the advice. Much appreciated. And there are some relevant comments for this one too. First commenter says, now you are thinking about this correctly. What's best for everyone involved? You have competing moral imperatives here. The right of the father to know the truth and the well-being of the child. Not in the sense you're responsible for the kid, but in the sense that you know your choice will affect the kid. I don't know what's right to do here, but you're not wrong to think that the kid having a better life if you never say anything is a relevant consideration. Does it outweigh the husband's right to know? Not sure, but ignore everyone telling you this is such an obvious decision because the father's right to know is clearly the only relevant factor, and he is that kid's father, although he would also have the right to stop being so if he found out the truth. The best case scenario for the kid is that no one else ever finds out. Trying to achieve that best case scenario is a reasonable option. And OP replies, thank you for your post. This is how we're trying to look at it too. Terrible situation, but trying to make our decision with the kid's best interests in mind. Another commenter said, you will drop a nuclear bomb and literally life-defining moment on this kid if you ever bring this up to the husband. Don't listen to any of these posts telling you to do this. It's beyond selfish and moronic. In fact, it will cause a complete family implosion, and extended family implosion too. Sarah's parents will never look at you the same. Last thing you need is to expose all of this over a hunch you think this child is yours. Reddit seems really interested in you blowing up multiple families and a kid's life over a hunch. I'm going to break it down for you. You don't know you're the father. You're just thinking you might be. In reality, you don't know that yet. This is 100% on Lauren. You did your part. Sarah knows now. There are no secrets between you, and she can use this information how she sees fit. Lauren's relationship with her child is her business. Maybe she feels she needs to find out. Maybe she doesn't. It's not your role to interject. You're not this kid's dad. You don't even know him. Reddit is giving you horrendous advice. Don't take it. Can you imagine if you brought this up to her husband? He leaves because he thinks you're telling the truth. Kid is shattered because dad isn't in his life anymore. Not to mention Sarah's family hates you for this. Only for it to come out later that you're not the father? OP, you did the right thing telling Sarah. Lauren wants to bury the hatchet, and if Sarah wants to do this as well, then let it be. Do not confront anyone over this. You don't have all the facts, even though you think you do. All you know right now is that Lauren cheated on her husband with you roughly 6 years ago. What you don't know is if that child is yours. Don't assume that you do. And OP again replies, this is how Sarah and I are seeing the situation too. And then OP adds some more information in other comments. And the first one says, and honestly, maybe it's possible Lauren's husband knows she's strayed and they moved past it and she doesn't want to revisit. She really didn't want to talk to us about it, so we don't know. I'm trying to move past this situation without hurting anyone. His second comment says, I agree the situation is messed up and I would like to know if my partner ever cheated, but the fact of the matter is, this will likely destroy an otherwise happy family. Both Lauren and her husband are incredibly successful in their fields and live in an affluent area and can provide the best life for the kid, while Sarah and I are still building our careers and about to begin our own lives. And people have been asking whether I care about the kid. Yes, of course I do. I saw myself when I saw him, but I don't even know him. I'm okay with not being in his life, and if in the future he somehow finds out and decides to find me, we can deal with it then. But right now I'm fine staying at a distance and seeing him through Facebook pics and starting my life with Sarah. I hope that didn't come off as heartless, but I am truly thinking about what's best for him. And OP did also comment on people asking him about the whole unprotected sex thing with the one night stand with Lauren, and he says, I didn't pressure her. I requested it and pulled my phone up to show her my latest blood work. Medical labs email your results these days. She said she was clean too, and that's it. Hugely irresponsible and stupid on my part, but I was a different person back then. It seems from that update like he did take the advice of the commenter previously and discuss it with Sarah in the right way, and that seems to have led to them being able to work through the issue together. But that wasn't the last update, so it does still remain to be seen whether anything progressed in terms of Lauren and Lauren's husband and the parentage of the son. So let's get on to that final update. OP says, I've had literally dozens of people messaging me asking for an update. Sarah and Lauren have been texting since my last update, mostly Lauren apologising because she won't be coming to our wedding. She also sent us some wedding and Christmas gifts, which was very sweet of her. Sarah didn't really push her for answers, but left an open invitation to talk whenever Lauren felt comfortable. A few days before Christmas, Lauren FaceTimed Sarah and told her everything. Her and her husband were going through a rough patch in their marriage at the time. He had an emotional affair with a co-worker, and they were separated for a few weeks before reconciling. Lauren met me early on during the separation when we had our one-night stand. She told Sarah I'm the only one she ever hooked up with during this separation. Soon after she realised she was pregnant, she reconciled with her husband. They'd been trying with no luck, so just decided to raise the child as their own. Lauren said she's told her husband and it's caused some turmoil in their marriage and they're working through it now. He knew about this nameless, faceless man, but seeing me in the flesh and knowing after the fact that I'm the one guy has been a bit traumatic for him, and he's feeling very insecure. So unfortunately, he never wants us to ever interact or be in the same room again. I was listening right out of view from the camera, but I couldn't help but ask Lauren if this means I can never see the boy. She just said she was sorry. She told Sarah she'll talk to her later, and that was it. They've still been texting, and it seems Lauren and her husband will be okay with some time. Now we have to always coordinate that we're not coming to family events at the same time. Sarah and Lauren have already made plans to meet themselves though. As for Sarah and I, we're doing okay. We had one pretty bad fight a few days after the last post went up. She wanted to know in excruciating detail everything about the type of guy I was before. Honestly, it felt like a CIA interrogation at one point. She cried and told me she wished she fell in love with someone else, which hurt a lot. She apologised the next morning and we've been doing a lot better now. I think we're stronger in fact, now that she knows everything. I'm also never ever doing that ancestry testing services all these companies do. I've also gotten a much better paying job that's fully remote. Sarah will talk with her boss to see how she can convert to full remote as well, which we think is possible. We might be leaving sooner than we thought. That's it. Thanks everyone that provided advice, especially after the first post. So that was a reasonably happy ending, I guess. It's a shame that the family's going to be, a bit complicated in terms of seeing each other again, but you can kind of see why Lauren's husband might feel that way, and it could be something that will change over time. As the son gets older, maybe it will be a thing in the future that he'll want to get to know his biological father. And you never know, we do sometimes get updates on these stories even 10 years later. But for now, it definitely seems like they managed to navigate this very complicated sounding situation without too much damage to the families involved. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Would you have handled this differently or not? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon for more wild tales from Reddit.